120 Sozialstunden, richtig?
Mhm.
Das Ganze hier ist eine ehemalige Schule, wurde uns für das Wohnprojekt zur Verfügung gestellt.
تازه اومده فکر کنم. اصلا اینجوریه دیوونه هست. Mama, passt schon.
Das war das erste Mal, dass ich was mit jemandem wie dir hatte. Ja, eigentlich stehe ich gar nicht so auf Ausländer.
عربی؟
نه، ایرانی هستم.
Hi, my name is SRIDHAR. I'm the festival director of Kashish Mumbai International Queer Film Festival, which is having its 12th edition right now. And you must have already attended the opening ceremony on August 19. So you must have already seen this beautiful, beautiful film, No Hard Feelings, directed by Faraz Shariat and co-written with Paulina Lorenz, who is with us today. And the film stars Benny Rajapur as Purveys and BANAFSHE HOURMAZDI as BANAFSHE herself, and Aidin Jalali as Amon. So thank you, BANAFSHE and Paulina, for joining this particular conversation. We are really, really excited to be screening the film No Hard Feelings. And I hope that everybody who is watching, who has watched the film and watching the Q&A are as excited. So Paulina, just to start off the Q&A with you. So what made you co-write this particular film? How much of your own experiences you brought in along with Faraz, his own experiences to the film?
Yeah, so Faraz basically came to me in 2015, so quite some time ago now. And the starting point of the film was kind of the start of what you see in the film. So the very first images, these little VHS images where, I don't know if you can tell, but it's Faraz himself, the director, who's in these videos. And in that year, 2015, his father had given him 40 hours of this footage. And it was a really intense moment for Faraz to watch these videos and to kind of see how his dad captured the first years of the family living in Germany, but also kind of Faraz's childhood and how much his childhood was already a very queer experience from the beginning on. Like you can see the little Sailor Moon costume and the singing and performing and the pop culture, the 90s that's already in there. And I was just super excited, both as a producer as well as a writer, by this like material, this family material. And then, yeah, so it started off a lot from like autobiographical experiences from Faraz. So he actually made similar experience in the sense that he's also second generation German Iranian, he's also gay, and he also had to serve community hours in a shelter for refugees because he was caught shoplifting. So all these things are very similar. But then kind of my role coming in was also to look at how can we fictionalize it? So how can we make it not just biographical, but tell different stories and maybe like alternative ways that things can go, and maybe how can we draft utopias of what we would like to see. So I think that was kind of where my role came in more as a co-writer.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that like, sometimes just a very autobiographical film cannot become so universal. You must have brought in the layers which makes it more universal story. And but why did it take so long from 2015 to 2020? It went through a lot of development phase?
Yes, I mean, the development was long, but I think normal. The really tough part was the financing. Like Germany really was not ready for the film in the time that we tried to make it and to sell it. Like now that it has been playing for over a year, a lot of people like press and critics are saying, oh, it's so important that this film was made, blah, blah. But it was a very, very tough journey to actually get it financed. And we had a lot of people saying no and saying that there's too much going on in the film. There's the queerness, but then there's also the experience of migration, of post-migration, being in a second generation. And we always had to be like, no, it's not too much. It's a very normal and specific experience that a lot of people have.
Yeah, and also like, I mean, is this your first project where you are a producer, or you also produced projects in the past or co-written projects in the past? Talk a little bit about our previous films also. Yeah.
So this is our first feature for all of us, because we also call ourselves a collective. So we see ourselves working together more than just being a production company, working with actors, blah, blah, but really like being one group of people who come together also with a political vision. I think that's a very important thing for our work, that we consider our filmmaking work as activist work. And we always have this political dimension. And for our collective, this was the first feature. And before that, we shot music videos, which I think you can see a little bit in the aesthetic of the film, that this is something we're interested in, how to use pop culture music videos to maybe show different kinds of realities. And then also Faraz directed one documentary short film, which actually works a lot with these VHS images that we see in the film as well. And he kind of talks about and with his parents in this documentary. So it's kind of like a pre-work for Futur 3, for No Hard Feelings.
Nice. Okay, I mean, I like the idea that like you basically, of course, filmmaking is political, not just entertainment per se. And the kind of film you want to make is highly political, talking about migrant issues, talking about queer culture. Banafsheh, so what made you take up this particular project? Have you worked with Paulina and Faraz before, or this is the first time you're collaborating with them?
I think it was the first time we worked together in this production, and I think I was really hooked by. First, I only got a treatment, I think, in 2016, and in Germany there was in 2015 in the summer there was this like so-called refugee crisis, where there was apparently a lot of people coming from Syria mostly to Germany, and then of course like German television or the German film industry wanted to work with that topic in a way that they always had a really like white gaze and white straight gaze on this particular people and this particular experience. And when I got this treatment of these really young people who had never made a feature before, I thought, okay, this is so much more brave than everything I've ever read. And I hadn't done like a feature before, like that, but I still was like, okay, I'm getting so much shit now for like refugee roles, and this is really like an outstanding treatment and an outstanding approach to it.
Yeah, and what has been, you're always based in Germany, or basically what is your history in terms of your family history? Did that contribute to your role in any way?
I think it's really important to understand that I have the same name as my role, but I'm not playing myself, and I'm not the character in the film. And I think it's really important for me to stress on the fact that I have a 5-year like theater film acting education, and I've been working as an actress for like almost 10 years now, and I'm a professional, so this is not me. Of course, there's parts of my family history that resonate to the character that I'm playing, but I wouldn't say at all that this is a like one-to-one experience, because especially when you think also about like the housing situation of the refugees shown in the film, it's not like that in Germany. Like it is not that possible to create your own space in that way, in that caring and loving way, because you most of the time you have to share a room with someone you're not familiar with. You don't have the funds to buy yourself flowers or anything, you know. So it's really it's not a realistic depiction also of a refugee's life in Germany.
Yeah, and also like, I mean, the whole story revolves around the three of you primarily, the three of the character, and your character becomes really important in the later part of the film, where you're being considered for deportation, right? And the whole struggle is to keep you there in Germany, you know. So how did you approach this role? Was it a very complicated role compared to the previous films you have done earlier, or it was a cakewalk for you?
I think it was difficult in that sense that I was playing a character that has not so much representation at all in Germany, or like in the film industry. Like refugee with an agency, and not only a refugee, but like a person who has this part, this struggle, you know, but it's not only that. And I think that's why I felt like, you know, I'm during the shooting, I didn't think that, but also later in the process and then the post-production and talking with people, I realized I'm really taking up a space or playing a character that is not, hasn't been so visible in a way, you know. And I mean, I think it's the same also with the queer migrant second generation character that Benny is playing, or the role that Oidin is playing. But yeah, I think we as like a not white Germans or yeah, Germans of color, we really have, whenever we do something, it has a bigger impact somehow for a whole community, you know, and we stand for something and we represent something. And Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right. Totally.
I just had to do it. I'm sorry. You can edit this out.
No, that's fine. Perfect. I totally agree that more responsibilities rest on the shoulders, especially of non-white people. I mean, definitely you are representing not just your own story, but like in the film, but also a larger idea that like more and more representation is needed for non-white portrayals per se. So that's something. Paulina, like, I mean, coming back to you. So where did you shoot the film? In Germany, and also where was the refugee camp shot per se?
So we shot the whole film in a very small, well, not super small, but kind of small town in the middle of Germany, in a more rural area. And also production-wise, it was quite important that we used this space because it had been where we went to university, a lot of us. So we already built some connections, and because this film, as I said earlier, was not easy to finance, it was really important that we were able to count on a lot of people within the city to maybe give us things for free, and just support. And one of these things was really crazy. The like department of, I don't know how to say it, but like the department of dealing with buildings, I guess, we asked them about a lot of different locations. So we're like, okay, so we need this refugee shelter, the camp, we need this and this and this. And then one day, this great woman from this department just called me and said, oh, like a little village close to the city, there's a school and it's empty. And they used it 2 years ago, they used it as an accommodation for refugees. And now they're not using it anymore, but it's still like when we started shooting there was still papers up in different languages of saying like, okay, this is the bathroom, this is like where German classes are. So yeah, it was a space that had been used in that way, but no one was living there anymore, which was of course very important to us because we're not interested in a documentary approach, like Banafsheh said as well, or to like intrude into the lives of people. But it was very helpful for us, of course, to use this space that had already been used in that way. Yeah.
And did you ever, any of you ever think of Faraz himself playing Purveys? Because like he's, I mean, like part of it is autobiographical, it's beyond his autobiographical. But like, did you any time either Faraz or any of you think of Faraz himself playing Purveys?
Yes, we did. In the very beginning, there was a time when he thought about it. And I think, Banafsheh, didn't you do a little casting together? Like in the park? I think there's a video, like one scene that you acted together. And I don't know, you have to say how it was for you, but we just saw the footage afterwards and it was like, no, this is not right for this project. But I mean, I know other filmmakers do it and it could have been possible, but it just wasn't right. But how did you feel about it, Banafsheh?
I don't really remember that, or I can't recall because there were so many constellation castings we did. But in general, I would say it's not, I don't think it would have been a good idea because it's so close to him, and it's like also his parents playing in the film, the parents of the protagonist. And I think it's good that someone was watching it from outside. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. One of the questions I had for Paulina was also about the parents of Faraz themselves playing the father and mother of Purveys in the film. So were they keen to do it, or Faraz had to force them to do it? How did it work out?
I mean, I think a combination, like they were definitely keen to do it, but they were keen to do it because they would do everything to support Faraz, like in the best way possible. They are really the most supportive. They actually had a supermarket kind of similar to what's in the film as well. And I think 2 months or something before we shot the film, they retired, and they gave the supermarket over to the oldest son, Farah's oldest brother. And then they basically went from going into retirement to coming to Hildesheim, our city, and then just for 6 weeks they were there and just supported the shoot. Not just like acting, which was of course a huge thing, but also Faras's mom helped me a lot with doing like the accounting, the production stuff. Faras's dad was also a driver, so he was driving Banafsheh, Benjamin, and Aydin almost every day. So they really did so much more than only act, but they also did act, and I think it's very, very important that they did, and that they were able to kind of also tell some version of their story in some of the scenes. I think it just fills the film with a very different kind of energy than if we had just taken other actors to play these roles.
Yeah, I mean, I think they played it beautifully. I wouldn't even know that they actually, Farah's parents. I thought they were professional actors until I read it up somewhere saying that they are Farah's parents. I said, wow. The other thing, a question, Paulina, how complicated was it to shoot some of the very, very intimate scenes? The Purveys goes through many encounters in the film, and very, very intimate scenes, and pretty, I would say, boldly shot for a first-time film per se. It's very boldly shot. So how did that, was it very comfortable? Did you have to convince the actors to do these parts, to these intimate scenes? How complicated was it to do it? How is the crew ready? I mean, I know it's in Germany right now. I mean, it's not like we are in India. India is too complicated to shoot such intimate scenes per se, you know. But still, I'm sure it would have had its own challenges.
Yeah, I mean, I think since it was in the script from the beginning on, and also Faraz wrote those scenes mostly, and the way he wrote them, it was already clear that they were going to be quite graphic. So kind of everyone that we asked to audition for these roles, it was very clear that these scenes were going to be in it. And the great thing was that even though we didn't get a lot of money, it also meant that we had the maximum freedom to really shoot it the way that we wanted to. And I really think that if we had, for example, a TV station in there, that it could have been more difficult to shoot these scenes. So I'm very grateful for that freedom. So I think actually the biggest challenge was really to think about how to make a comfortable atmosphere on set. And I think we managed in some ways. Like, for example, we really did like a closed set where no one besides Faraz, the cinematographer, and the sound person were on set with the actors. And we tried to like do some things with the costume department of like building some little things that you can put on so you don't, it looks like you're naked, but you're not really naked. But I still really think that in the future, we can do even more and even better to make sure everyone's comfortable. And I think the new things that are happening now with the intimacy coordination being like a field of work, at least in the US, in the UK, and now also starting in Germany, I think it's a great thing, because for the director who has so many things on their mind, to also be that person to make sure that the actors are comfortable in this very vulnerable moment, I think is too much most of the time. So I think if we would do it again with more money, we would definitely get someone to help out with this.
Thank you. Banafsheh, like coming back to you, basically, like, I mean, the three of you share a very close bonding in the film, you know, the three actors. And, but like, there's almost this beautiful relationship between Purveys and Banafsheh. in the film. It's not romantic, of course. In the film, it's not romantic, but it borders on being romantic. And but the character of Banafsheh does not have any romantic angle. Did you miss that?
I have to say, no, I mean, during shooting, I didn't miss it. I heard this critique before also about that my character doesn't have like a romantic interest. But I think for me, it's fine because what the film is telling in itself is good. And for like, I think 90-minute feature, I think it's a good length for what we were trying to do. And No Hard Feelings 2 will definitely have a romantic scene with me.
That's a very well said, Banafsheh. You use the title of the film so beautifully, that No Hard Feelings, absolutely. Which was the most challenging scene for you to do in the film? Which is your toughest scene, per se?
Yeah, I'm trying. It's it's kind of far away from me now because it's 3 years already. I think what made me the most uncomfortable was actually singing in the middle of the night at the train station, because we were actually shooting in this small town and there was not so many people around, but enough for me to feel uncomfortable singing in Farsi. But I did it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's also not just a challenging time, but also like a beautiful anecdote where you were singing in the street in Farsi and people were just looking at. And what has been the feedback for your character and for Hard Feelings? Have you attended any theatrical screenings? I know COVID has basically made most of the screenings virtual, but have you had any in-theater screenings which you attended, and what has been the reaction there for you?
We had some like screenings in Germany that we could attend and did some Q&As afterwards. Like we did a small tour when we were, I think, in German cinemas 3 weeks before the lockdown, the second lockdown. And then also Faraz and me had the opportunity to go to Guadalajara to the film festival there in Mexico. And being there and talking to the people that attended the screening there was also really interesting because it really did translate the film. Like it really resonated with the audience there, and they really like we talked to people and it was so nice what they said about it. And also this this motif or this image of being a refugee is something that is unfortunately universal. And yeah, that was really interesting to hear that. And yeah, I think I'm really like proud of the whole team that we managed to make a film that is understood globally in a way. And there's also people from Iran writing to me that managed to see the film, which I'm really happy about because it cannot be screened there, unfortunately. And they're also like writing really positive things. And I think it's also great to see that even though queerness is forbidden, there are queer Iranians. Yeah.
Yeah, queer people are everywhere in the world. And this year we are showing, I think, 4 films from Iran or 5 films from Iran this year, out of which one is a feature-length film about this, it's called Another Self, about this beautiful, it's about a transgender woman trying to find a place for herself in the family and the society. And Iran has been doing a lot of good work, but unfortunately films they themselves cannot show these films in their own country. They send it to our festivals, we show it, but they can't show it themselves. So Paulina, just coming to you, like, I mean, what has been the reaction when you people won the Teddy Award, which is one of the biggest award for queer films in the world, you know? So how was the experience and what did you all think of it? What did you and Faraz celebrate? How did you all celebrate it?
Well, it was also, it's crazy because the Berlinale and the Teddy party was like one of the last parties that anyone ever went to, kind of, and for us as well. So it was very beautiful, even more beautiful maybe looking back at it now. And we were like, the Teddy was always like what we really wanted to get. Like first, even being able to play in Panorama at Berlinale was such a dream for us because it was our like dream section to be in. But then getting the Teddy was like, yes, okay, now we've made it to where we want to be and to be alongside so many amazing filmmakers throughout history. So that meant so much to us, and also the fact that we were able to be awarded both the feature Teddy and also the Readers Award was also very, very nice, because it's kind of like also about what's, not just like making an artsy film. And I mean, No Hard Feelings is not a very artsy film in general, but one that gets a lot of people excited about queerness and about this film. So it was amazing to get these two little teddies, and we were definitely dancing and celebrating a lot that night. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the Teddy jury in 2010, and what a great experience that was. I was on the jury then, and it was a great experience just to be in Berlinale and experience Berlinale. And I just hope that like the pandemic will end and all of us can celebrate in theaters. I mean, we usually screen our films at this beautiful Art Deco theater called Liberty Cinema. The name itself is Liberty Cinema, and we pretty much fill up the entire 1,200 seats, It would have been so beautiful for you to be here at the opening night and experience the beauty of 1,200 people screaming and shouting and cheering for your film, But unfortunately now it's all has to be online. But that's really the tragedy of it. But what are your next projects, Paulina? Like, what are you working on? With Faraz, are you working on another film or something?
Yeah, we're working on different projects. Faraz is actually right now in the UK shooting a series. So we've all kind of ventured into series a little bit. Faraz directing, me and Raquel writing. Banafshe just starred as a lead in a German series, a queer one. Super exciting. So that's something that we're all kind of branching into. We're also developing a queer fantasy series at the moment that we're quite excited about. And then feature-wise, we're both doing an adaptation of a novel that we're really, really excited about, a German novel, and then also working on a horror film. So that's a very like outside of what we've done before. So yeah, I think we just want to do things that are a bit different from Futur 3 in the sense that they're not necessarily like coming of age, not so realistic in a way, but still, of course, carry the same like political stance that's important to us.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because Faraz has been heralded as the next big director Kaviga. So I'm glad that you're working with him and bringing more stories. Banafshe, if you want to just give one word or one phrase for all the Indian audiences who are watching No Hard Feelings and watching this Q&A, what would you want to give, any messaging,
I just hope you enjoy it. Sorry. I'm really bad at these things. I hope it's okay that I just wish people to have fun watching it.
Right. So, okay, thanks a lot for this. Thanks a lot for Paulina and Banafshe for this wonderful interaction. And thank you for the Q&A. And the people who are watching this Q&A, if you have any questions for Paulina, Faraz, or Banafshe, please put it in the comment box here, and I'll make sure to see that and respond to you. And there's a whole lot of 3 weekends of Kashish still pending. So if you have not got your passes, you're going to be missing out on a lot of things. So please go to MumbaiQFers.com and buy your Discovery Weekend Pass, Acceptance Weekend Pass, and Pride Weekend Pass, or a full festival pass. So thank you for joining in today, Paulina and Banafshe, and say a big hug to Faraz on behalf of all of us in India who are watching this particular Q&A and who have watched No Hard Feelings. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.